guys, Walt Kirkland here. I'm here at the Martin's Crosswind for the Angela Alsobrooks 1,000 Women for County Exec. For the next several hours, we'll be doing a live video of the event. You can see the people in the background. For Angela Alsobrooks for County Exec, June 26th will be the big day, as you can see there, right there, where folks will go out and vote. And it's time to make some positive change in Prince George's County. You can see there's more than 1,000 people, women here for Angela Alsobrooks here at the Martin's Crosswinds in Greenbelt, Maryland. And we have a great afternoon in store. All right.
Welcome our elected officials of Prince George's and our soon to be elected Georgia County Executive, Alsobrooks. It's on fire. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Are you ready? Are you ready? All right. You know, God is good and worthy to be praised. And I have to tell you how overwhelmed and how grateful I am to see each of you today. I had to say to Dr. Boyd as I came in, I said, Dr. Boyd, you know what? I was so excited and so overwhelmed, I thought I might bust wide open. So excited to see each of you. I have to just start by telling you something that is so funny. When we initially talked about the 1,000 women event, and you know, Secretary Lawler can get all things done. But she said, you know, we're going to do the 1,000 women, Angela. And so I called Major Riddick and called some of the other folks from the team and said, you know what, I need to talk to you. And they said, what's going on? I said, I don't know 1,000 people. So this is going to be a, this is going to be a challenge. I'm not so sure about this because, you know, I am a servant, not a celebrity. And so I thought, I'm not sure that they would come. But guess what? You all have come. And because of you, we have made history today in Prince George's County. We have made history today in Prince George's County. And as the secretary said, some of you may say, we have done 1,000 women before, but not for a woman. So we want to give God some praise for that. How amazing it is that we have made history today. And you know what, before I go any further, you all know how I am. And you know, if I was able and I tried to start on this side, I'm a hugger. And I'd get around to every one of these tables and embrace you. But would you do me a favor, please, and just turn to your neighbor and give them a hug for me? You know, it's not any old kind of hug. You know, you got to give them an Angela hug. Squeeze them. And tell them thank you so much for me. Say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much to every one of you. You're hugging like I hug, I can tell. But I do want to say really from the bottom of my heart how grateful I am. I want to thank each of you for coming here today. I want to thank you for pressing your way in the middle of the afternoon. I want to thank you so much for the tremendous and wonderful support that you have given me. And I want to thank you so much for sharing with me in this beautiful, beautiful vision we have for our county. I want to thank you. Not only is your presence here a testament to how strong we are in Prince George's County, but it is a testament as well to our collective belief in our children. This is also a profound statement about the belief that we have in our families. It is also a statement about the belief that we have in our community and in our county and in our collective ability to bring about change and to stand as leaders in our community and that we can bring the change that is necessary for our families. But you know what? Our celebration today, and I'm so excited about this, we are not in this alone. I can tell you right now that I can just feel it, that we are among a crowd of witnesses who have joined us today in this room, a crowd of witnesses, because we are here not on our own strength, but we are here because of our inheritance We are here because of our inheritance, and so I can just feel those witnesses. And I'm sure that you can too. The strong women who have come before us and who laid a brick down. Many of them did so on their very backs, but laid a brick down so that I could be here, so that you could be here. So we are here because of our inheritance. And I have to tell you that inheritance, I can tell you in this moment that I can think about Zora Neale Hurston, who left us an inheritance, who said very confidently, sometimes I feel discriminated against, but it does not make me angry. It merely astonishes me. How can anyone deny themselves the pleasure of my company? It's beyond me, said Zora Neale Hurston. We inherited this moment from Eleanor Roosevelt, who said very profoundly, a woman is like a tea bag. You can't tell how strong she is until you put her in some hot water. Women are strong. Women are strong. We inherited this moment from Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor, who said very confidently, I have never faced anything that could overwhelm the native optimism and the stubborn perseverance that I was blessed with as a woman. We inherited this moment from the baddest Marylander to have ever walked these roads, Harriet Tubman, who encouraged us and said, you know what, not to be afraid. Don't be discouraged in adversity. Instead, she said, you know what, if you hear the dogs coming, keep going. If you see the torches in the woods, keep going. If you hear them shouting after you, keep going. If you want a taste of freedom, keep going. Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman. We have inherited this moment as well from one of my favorites, Maya Angelou, who would have celebrated her 90th birthday this past weekend. Now, I don't know about you, I don't even know where you were at the time you first got your hands on some Maya Angelou, but I can recall it as if it were yesterday, 7th grade. And it was a transformational moment for me. I had the opportunity to select a poem that I would recite for my 7th grade class. And I found Maya Angelou's Phenomenal Woman. Now, I had never before I read Maya, I had never read anyone who had written words like the words that she wrote. And so I performed that play in my classroom. And you remember the words, pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size, but when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. That's me. Now, you know, I was in front of my class with my hips going, I had my arms flared, I was doing the whole thing. And that was such an empowering moment for me to realize the beauty and the power that we have as women. But I can also tell you that we have inherited this moment, and I have inherited this moment from some women who have never made history. It takes both the extraordinary and the ordinary women to make this country move forward. Some of these women, I stand here today, and it would be impossible for me to go without personally acknowledging. I want to first begin by acknowledging, and many of you have had the chance to hear me talk so much about my great-grandma, Maybelle James, who in 1956 uprooted. We essentially fled from Seneca, South Carolina after her husband was murdered by a sheriff's deputy. It was Maybelle James who sat with me in her bed and really did teach me the Bible. She was a devout woman. She was a woman who believed so much in the Lord. She passed on to me 2 tidbits. She said, Angie, love the Lord with all your heart, obey him. And she also said to obey your parents. And I have to tell you, she didn't tell me that obey your parents part. Because when I was a kid, the word they used to describe it was active. She said I was active. And so Grandma James reminded me to, in all things, put the Lord first and to honor my parents. And I have tried to do that. I also want to acknowledge today my grandmother, who I have to tell you was the light of my life. Loved her. She went on to be with the Lord 2 years ago. And her name was Leela Bright. She was 4'11", and she was a bad lady. All 4'11" feet of her. and she loved us so much. She picked us up from school most days, and in the summertime, she would take me and take my sister Kim with her up to upper Northwest DC, where she cleaned houses for wealthy people. And what she would often do is to take us up there in that car. We'd roll down the windows, and we sat in the car to wait for Lily. We sat out there full of candy. That's why she was my girl. Out there full of candy, licking the candy while Lily went in to clean those homes. And what she taught me is that there is dignity in all work. Dignity in all work. And she did what she must to support our family. And then I have to thank as well and to acknowledge another person who has passed on to me a beautiful inheritance. It is my mother, Patricia Alsobrooks, who is here today. Who is a man beneath my wing, who at 9 years old was so traumatized as our family came here from Seneca upon being present when her grandfather was murdered, that when she came to Prince George's more than 60 years ago, she was placed in a classroom and she didn't speak for several of the months after she got here. And the school said, well, she doesn't talk, so maybe she's learning disabled. And they held her back a grade. The truth was, she wasn't learning disabled. She was traumatized, like so many other women and so many other children who suffer trauma in our community every day. And you know what? She may not have spoken that year, and her teachers may not have understood, but she had something to say. And she made sure that later on, her daughters would say it for her. My mother, who never had an opportunity to receive a college education herself, made education a priority for me and for my sister. She sacrificed everything she had to make sure that we had every opportunity to receive a quality education. I can still vividly recall one evening when I was standing in the kitchen of our home, and my sister Kim and Kim is here, love her so much. There she is, Kim, raise your hand. We were standing in the kitchen of my home, and we were in a really rigorous high school where it was very, very challenging. And we caught 3 buses to get to school each day. We sat in the emergency room at the hospital where she worked, and then we'd come home. So we got home fairly late in the evening. And I remember one night after dinner, I turned to her and said, you know what, I'll help you. I'm going to help you with the dishes. And she said to me, nope, you go on upstairs and you start to study. And I turned back to her and I said, no, you know, I'm going to help you. And she said, I'm the mother of this house. And when you have an opportunity and you're a mother, you'll do the same for your children. And I look back on that day, and she told me in that moment, she said, you know what? The most important job for you is to do well in school. I'm the mother. It's your job to do well in school. And I look back on it so much. Today I remember thinking how generous and what a profound thing that was that she did for me. My mother, as I said, worked hard. She was tired, and she could have easily decided that I was going to continue to do that work, but instead she made the sacrifice for me. And I recognized in that moment that I would be required as well to carry forward that baton, to serve others, to allow for somebody else to succeed. As women, and I know my mother is not alone, we have selflessly on so many occasions taken care of our families, we have taken care of our communities for so very, very long. And guess what? In times of difficulty, we also have stepped in the gaps when nobody else would. We have had the courage and the determination to step in the gaps and to do what was necessary. And honestly, not just for our children, but for other people's children as well. It has not been uncommon. Just look at Alabama. You heard it spoken about just a moment ago with that Senate race, when the president so arrogantly came out and decided that he would endorse Judge Roy Moore, a person the whole world knew was such a pedophile that he had been banned from the local mall. Yeah, but you're banned from the local mall because you're too much of a pedophile. And when somebody approached him also and said, sir, you love to make America great again. Can you tell us the last time you recall that America was great? And he looked and said during slavery, because it seemed to me that our families were a little bit more tight-knit at that point. Well, the women of Alabama didn't announce to him that they were going to wolf him. They didn't get on television and sell wolf tickets and tell him what was going to happen. Instead, they showed up in force on election day, and we corrected that situation in Alabama. 98% of us came out, and we put into office the first Democrat to hold that office since 1992. And guess what? They're not done yet. I read this past weekend that 36 of those women are now running for office in Alabama. So we have corrected that situation. But this is not uncommon. Women have been righting some wrongs in this country for a long time. When our brothers and fathers and uncles and sons were being hanged, it was Ida B. Wells who spoke out boldly and unapologetically about the lynchings and said they absolutely had to stop. When we think about that nowadays, we don't realize how much courage did it take. How much courage must it have taken to stand up and to speak out against something that could cost you your life? But Ida B. Wells spoke out and she said, somebody must show the Afro-American race is more sinned against than sinning. And it seems to have fallen upon me to do so. Bad lady and had courage. But as women, doing these things is not always easy. We have done so and done what was necessary in spite of low wages. We have done what was necessary without gratitude. We have done what was necessary no matter what, while we stood in the shadows, not seeking recognition, not seeking accolades. But guess what? To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. And guess what, y'all? This is our time and this is our season. We're ready. I'm ready. I am ready to stand here right in my community to draw upon the strength that was given to me through my inheritance and to focus on what I have been taught. And it's so clear to me that I have an inheritance of my own that I must leave to my community. An inheritance that requires me to make sure that every single child in Prince George's County is well educated. Doesn't matter whether the child started in Suitland, Maryland like me or started in Fairwood. Every child in Prince George's County, it is our sacred obligation to educate every child in Prince George's County. It is my responsibility, and I take it very personally, to care for the elders of this community. The ones who laid those bricks down so I could stand on this stage today. The ones who stood in those classrooms and taught us and loved us and wiped our noses. The ones who I have visited frequently, who have told me, Angela, are we safe? We have an obligation to care for our elders, and it is an inheritance that I will leave. We will care for our elders. We have an obligation as well to grow business, to build our economy, to create jobs, and to thereby create hope. Hope for so many of our young people who have looked at us and we've looked at them and said, you know what, why have they fallen off track? Well, we must do what is necessary to ensure that they have opportunities, that they can sit under the table that you heard about, that they can experience the American dream that has been promised to every one of us, that we should have the opportunity to enjoy the great benefits of this country. And we will do so when we grow our economy and when we create the jobs that allow them to care for their families. I have an inheritance that I must leave. We're going to take care of our families and create jobs. We likewise have an obligation, and you've already heard it, I make no apologies about it, to be tough and steadfast in protecting the innocent and holding accountable anybody who seeks to hurt us. Anybody who seeks to hurt us. And so we have to continue to send the message that Prince George's County is not the point of least resistance. Don't come here to harm our families. We will hold accountable those who hurt us, but we're also going to give, and you know that this has been what I've said, that we give second chances. that we must also, where it is appropriate, give second chances. I love remembering Senator Barbara Mikulski one evening that we were together. We were scheduled to meet at an event. We were meeting with some ex-offenders to talk to some ex-offenders, and we were actually doing so at the Sanctuary Kingdom Square. Is Reverend Peggy Macklin here? And my family from Sanctuary Square. Thank you all. Well, we went over to Kingdom and Sanctuary Kingdom Square. I'm messing up but their ex-offenders were there, and Senator Mikulski came into the room, and you know she is so brilliant, and served us beautifully for 25 years in the Senate of the United States. But she came into that room, and she was so disarming. All of these men sitting around, and they're kind of waiting to see what she's going to say. They've been, some recently released from prison, some out for a while. And she walked in and said, "Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm here today because I, too, am an ex-offender." And she said, "Well, haven't we all fallen short of the glory of God? And I, too, am an ex-offender. We, too, are ex-offenders. And that none of us are perfect, and that we have to give to those who deserve it a second chance." And so that is the inheritance that I will leave. But guess what? We have some business that we must tend to as well together. Together we will forge the path to ensure that our children grow, learn, and prosper in Prince George's County. Together we will make sure that Prince George's County fulfills its promise. And together we will ensure that each person, whether they got here 47 days ago or like me 47 years ago, that every person, regardless of race, wealth, or circumstance, has the opportunity to build and to fulfill their God-given right to a bright future. Together we will ensure that the next generation knows as well that they too have an obligation and a duty to recognize what they have inherited and to leave our county even better than they found it. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready. Are you ready? Guess what, Prince George? This is our house. Prince George, this is our house. Prince George. May God continue to bless each and every one of you. May God continue to bless Prince George's County. And guess what? The best is yet to come.
It's yet to come. Everybody say it. Let's say it twice. Everybody say it. Let's say it twice.